Page 778. And in this lesson, we are taking conversations from the previous activity, page 777, which is from Geometry, Module 5, Topic 1, Lesson 1. We're talking about probability. In this scenario, what is the sample space for student council elections? We're going to create a tree diagram that represents possible outcomes for a given scenario and then use it to answer some probability questions. How many outcomes are likely? One thing when we set up a tree diagram is to conserve or be efficient with our energy. So instead of writing out Jordan, I'm going to let J be the key for Jordan, G be the key letter for Gray, K for Kelly, M for Morgan, and T for Taylor. They're running for student council offices, and the student with the greatest number of votes is elected president, and the student receiving the next greatest number of votes is elected vice president. To create a tree diagram, remember from the previous page, that's the branching list of all of our choices. Let's create a tree diagram to represent all of the possible outcomes of the election. And let's just say the first level of the tree diagram is president. So first off is a branch going out to Jordan, and then a branch going out to Gray, and then a branch going to Kelly, and then a branch going out to Morgan, and last of all, a branch going out to Taylor. Now, in that tree diagram, those are the 5 people who are running for president, so they're the only options or outcomes in that sample space. But the second level, this is first level, this is president. The second level is going to be who their vice president is. So think about this one. If Jordan is president, who are the people that could be Jordan's vice president? Certainly not himself again, or herself. However, that person cannot also be the vice president. So we would go with Gray and Kelly and Morgan and Taylor. Why are there only 4 people here? Well, didn't I answer it though? Think about it. Jordan has been elected president in this scenario. And in this scenario where Jordan is president, these are the 4 people who are their option as vice president. Next up is Gray. Gray cannot be their own vice president, but let's say they were elected presidents. So then optional people for their vice presidency would be Jordan, Kelly, Morgan, and Taylor. And we continue on with this list. And so will you go ahead and maybe pause and skip forward 20 seconds. I'm going to ask you to complete the remaining branches for Kelly and for Morgan and for Taylor. And when you skip forward, come back and take a look at what I wrote down, and let's just see if our answers are aligned. Okay? So pause, skip forward 20 seconds, check our work. Maybe we're back. Here we go. So what I notice in this tree diagram is whoever the president is, they are not an option for their own vice president. Whoever the president is, they are not an option for their own vice president. But if you think about the number of people that there are, we have 20 total different outcomes where if Jordan is president, there are 4 choices for vice president of potential people to win the vote. Not saying that we would have every single option, but how likely is it, right? Probability. How likely is it that Jordan is president and Taylor is vice president? Well, 4 options here, 4 options here, 4 options here. In each of these, there are 4 options, so 4 times 5. There is a sample space with 20 items in it. Let's go ahead and write that out. And again, pause the video after you see how I start writing the sample space for number 2 and skip forward, okay? See if your sample space matches mine. Ooh, what did I write here? GM5T. That took me a little bit of time, maybe took you the same amount of time as well. You've skipped forward, here we are. There should be 20 different elements in the sample space as I list them all out in an organized list. JG, JK, JM, JT, GJ, GK, GM, GT. It's following a specific path down this branch of the tree diagram so that we should be able to find every single branch in the ordered list. Like if I find Gray and then Kelly, so that would be GK. I guess order does matter because if you say GK, that would assume G is president, K is vice president, not the other way around where we say Kelly and then Gray. That means order technically does matter here. How many outcomes result in Gray being elected president or vice president? The word or shows up now where and was used in the previous video. The word or shows up now to mean add results together. So if we look at Gray, I'll use blue for this one, elected president or vice president. In this path, Gray is vice president. In this path, Gray is president in all 4 of those scenarios. In this path, Gray is the vice president to Kelly. In this path, so down Morgan, down to Gray, that's one where Gray is vice president for Morgan. And then in this path, Gray is the vice president to Taylor. But to find how many outcomes that would be, just add them up. 1 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, so I get 8. In 8 scenarios, Gray is either president or is elected vice president. And this is out of a combined total of 20. So we could talk about it as a probability by writing it as a fraction, 8 over 20. How many outcomes result in Taylor not being elected vice president? So not something is the idea of complement, which is one of our probability like vocab words to talk about, to represent. So how many outcomes result in Taylor not being elected president? That would be every one that's not the Taylor branch. So we would exclude all of the president's choices because here, Taylor is president with Jordan, Gray, Kelly, and Morgan being possible vice president choices for them. But all of these other choices, Gray is not the Taylor is not the president. So there are, in fact, a total of 16 scenarios where Taylor is not the president, and that's out of a total of 20. We have further questions to answer in the next video on page 779. We're going to use this tree diagram or this sample space. Please make sure you keep your highlighters handy because color added to the mathematics keeps things nice and fresh and visible and makes connections. Thank you for watching this video, page 778. Click forward. 779 is next. We'll see you in the next episode.